Story 1. Britain's first billionaire, Gerald Grosvenor, Duke of Westminster, was asked this question shortly before he died back in the 1980s. His answer was, "The only way I know is to make sure one of your ancestors was a close friend of William the Conqueror." Story 2. Health. Prioritize your physical health to lower healthcare expenses now and later in life, and also so you're not exhausted when you're retired and actually have time to enjoy your life. Story 3. Not saving for retirement early. A little early is worth much more than a lot later. Make sure you invest it in growth assets like stocks so that it has room to expand. Story 4. As a young person, don't put extra money in a brokerage account until you maximize tax-advantaged accounts. Friendly and completely non-judgmental reminder to learn about tax-advantaged accounts when you are young. I'm seeing some misconceptions, and this stuff can be complicated, but it's hugely beneficial to learn early and start maximizing these benefits. Roth Individual Retirement Account. You pay taxes today and put money in. When you take it out later, it is not subject to any taxes, neither income nor capital gain. Traditional 401k or individual retirement account. Instead of paying income taxes today, you pay them when you take money out. You avoid capital gains. This is particularly useful during your peak earning years. Traditional brokerage. You pay income taxes on your money today. You also pay capital gains taxes when you withdraw the money. You also owe income taxes on dividends and distributions. Story 5. Never, never, never carry over a credit card balance. It does not build credit. It is a predatory loan. Pay all cards in full on the payment period due date and not before. Every day of early payment you lose 1/365th of earned interest. Story 6. Start saving for retirement in your 20s. The fund I started contributing to at my job when I was 26 has grown to $65,000 12 years later. I am not at that job anymore, but I have rolled it over twice. Story 7. Starting a 401k as early as possible and keep putting money into it. Start with your first job out of school, and that's a big head start. It doesn't have to be much, but compound interest over time is an amazing thing. Story 8. Do not have children very early. Kids are costly. I am pretty well off, but I noticed that despite a good salary, I have less wealth than my peers because I had to spend a lot of money on my kids from a young age. Money that I could not invest or save. It does not mean I regret my kids, but it is a factor you have to consider if you think about this stuff early. Story 9. Do not drive new cars. Buy only older, gently used cars and then drive them until they are no longer economically reparable. Use the money you save by not having car payments to build up a large emergency fund so you can pay for the occasional repairs and to buy your next older, gently used car when this one finally dies. Story 10. Learning and development. From personal experience, I can say that young people often neglect this due to parties, relaxation, and having fun, which is typical for their age. Story 11. Investing through a health savings account as a triple tax-deductible way to grow wealth. This assumes one is able to avoid major medical expenses while young, which is not possible for some people. Story 12. It's not about investing. The key is actually non-consumption. You have to radically lower your expenses. It's actually amazing how little you can live with and how much stuff other people have that you don't need. Story 13. Don't spend the money. Use your stuff until it falls apart. Don't have two of something when one will do. Store brand instead of name brand. Little bits here and there can add up quickly. Story 14. If you want to truly build wealth on a family level, it's critical to understand and act as if wealth is literally built across generations. Rags to riches is possible, but the more likely approach is across generations. This requires investing heavily in newer generations. The problem is that all it takes is one generation to ruin it all. Story 15. Building wealth from nothing is a battle against your own worst psychological instincts. To understand better, read the book, The Psychology of Money. It will change the way you think about money forever. There is no secret formula here. Building wealth comes down to 3 things. Have a great income, invest in education, your career, learn how to play and survive workplace politics, learn how and when to change jobs, etc. Spend way less than you make. Saving 5%? Matt, 10%? Yawn. 20%? Okay, mildly interesting. 30%? Good going. 40%? Amazing. 50% or more. Boss level. Invest, invest, and invest more. Here's the thing. Investment requires being comfortable with risk. Invest smartly and broadly. Diversify. Have a good chunk in safe investments, but learn to play and be comfortable with 20% of your money taking extreme risks. You have to be in it for the long haul. There's no quick fix. Even when the market nosedives, you have to stay and, in fact, overcome your worst psychological instincts to buy more. Simple. When everyone panics, you jump in. When everyone jumps in, stay on the sidelines. The recent market bull run is a great example. Personally, I never try to time the market, but this year, I have accumulated a large cash cushion waiting for the opportunity to jump in. Panic is inevitable, and it is being unleashed at the highest levels by the new incoming administration. To make money, you have to differentiate from the 99% of people around you. You have to think differently, act differently, have vastly different habits, and prioritize your time differently and radically. I can write books about it. For one post, this was enough wisdom. Story 16. A lot of people leave money they could get on the table. For example, my company offers a benefit where they pay €40 into a specific savings fund for you every month. It is yours. It just needs a couple of documents filled out before they can start doing it. Only about 1/3 of apprentices use it, especially the ones with the least money. For the 3-year apprenticeship, that is already €1,500 they are leaving on the table. Considering that is literally free money that takes 20 minutes of paperwork to do. Story 17. Start investing money early. Even if it is not a lot, do it regularly. $300 a month invested in the Standard & Poor's 500 from when you are 18 to 28. Then even if you did not invest another dime, you would have $1 million by the time you retire. Story 18. One of the biggest missed opportunities is investing early, even with small amounts. Many people underestimate the power of compound interest, thinking they need a lot of money to start, but even $50 a month can grow significantly over time. Another is employer 401k matches. Not taking full advantage is leaving free money on the table. Lastly, learning about index funds and dividend stocks can create passive income, but most people either do not know or feel too intimidated to start. Story 19. Saving doesn't have to be complicated. Keep some money in a high-yield savings account or mutual fund. This is your somewhat liquid cash and will cover emergencies. For any money you won't need for years, open an account with Vanguard and buy their exchange-traded fund called the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund. Its average return is 10%, and it's the most diversified exchange-traded fund I'm aware of, so you don't have to worry about some company going under and you losing all your money. Ideally, you won't sell within 12 months. But if you do, in the United States, you pay short-term capital gains, which is equal to your ordinary tax rate, for example, 22%. Hold for over 12 months, and when you sell, taxes are at the lower long-term capital gains rate, which would probably only be 15%. FYI, Vanguard doesn't have any bells or whistles, but this also means their fees are low, which is very important when trying to build wealth. The book explains this well and is also why Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, also known as the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund Institutional Shares, is a great option. Their default mutual fund is a Vanguard Federal Money Market Fund, and last I saw it was paying about 4.6% annual percentage rate. Also, look up the Rule of 72. It basically explains the math of how your money can double every 7 years. Compounding is truly magic. Story 20. Don't get stuck with analysis paralysis, it is real. Focus on the small steps that push your business forward. For example, do not worry about how you will be able to ship 1,000 items a day when you are selling 0 items a day. Story 21. I told my parents to buy Bitcoin in 2011, and they were very against anything not physical, such as being distrustful of online shopping. They did not buy Bitcoin, and then a couple of years ago, my dad wanted to open a cryptocurrency wallet and saw how much it was then. All he could do was sigh and move on. Story 22. If the government offers tax shelters, in Canada, registered retirement savings plans, registered education savings plans, etc. Take advantage of them if you can. Do not try to time the market. Look for growing industries and solid performers. Keep impulse buying to a minimum. Splurge on small stuff, not on big. Buy good condition cars by good makers. Flash needs cash. Pay off credit cards first. Limit how many you have. Practice healthy restraint. Story 23. Defined benefit retirement, also known as a traditional pension, is almost exclusively offered through the government. My military retirement is worth approximately $3.8 million. That's how much I would have to put into a variable annuity to achieve the same monthly income with inflation adjustments. Essentially, the Army saved $3.8 million for me without letting me know. Story 24. Start saving into a 401k right away, as much as you can afford and hopefully up to the maximum, but at least to get the maximum of what the company matches. Hold fast and you will retire well. Story 25. Not sure if this is a missed opportunity, but understanding the difference between making money and earning money. You make money by taking something and adding worth, then selling for profit. You earn money by trading time for money. And for those who are not following along, your company takes your time, adds worth, and sells it for a profit. They make money while all you do is trade your time for some of that money. Story 26. Not everyone is in a position to do this, but setting up investment accounts early in life and making contributions to them on a regular basis is advisable. You don't need thousands to invest if you start young. Story 27. Letting your kids live with you and pay off school or save after college. Single-handedly the largest wealth-building opportunity anyone has access to. Story 28. Everyone's discussing how to make more money, but there are two paths to being wealthy: getting more or needing less. Focus on needing less. Buy a less expensive car or house and take the shortest loan term you can. However, buy quality things and keep them longer. Learn home and car maintenance skills. You'll save money on repairs, and you'll maintain the value of your assets longer. Every year you're without a car payment between purchases is like a $5,000 to $10,000 raise per year. When you've planned an expense into your budget and managed to eliminate it, that's a great way to find money for saving or investing. Pay off your car that was costing you $700 per month. Put $700 per month into savings for 3 years before you buy the next one, and you've got $25,000 saved up for the next car. Or even better, if that $25,000 is all you invested in stocks at 6% growth, which is about typical after adjusting for inflation. In 20 years, that's $80,000 that you can use towards retirement. Also, accept that the world is changing. Home prices and inflation are going to continue to rise, and wages are going to continue to stagnate. Advice that was great in 1990 may not be great anymore, so when you read through financial advice threads like this one, consider the context and ask yourself if this is still relevant advice or needs to be adapted. Story 29. 1. Contribute to a 401k up to the employer match. 2. Maximize contributions to a health savings account. 3. Use any leftover funds to maximize contributions to the 401k. 4. Invest any extra money in a brokerage account. I like to invest in the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index for more distribution of risk, but the Vanguard 500 Index Fund would be okay as well. Use this plan for 30 years. Retire with over $2 million based on salary throughout life. Story 30. Learn about group investing to acquire hard assets like real estate. We bring 10 to 30 people together to buy self-storage facilities. Next year, we will buy recreational vehicle parks also. We buy properties that double the group's investment every 4 to 5 years. Plus, there are many tax advantages for owning investment real estate that don't apply to owning your own home. Story 31. The more socialism you have, the better the quality of life for the vast majority, and the greater the total wealth, meaningfully defined, of the society of which you are a part and from which you partake. Story 32. Businesses don't sell stuff, they sell labor. Starbucks doesn't sell coffee, they sell labor. You can start a coffee shop and work it yourself, but then you can't open another coffee shop. Anyone can start a business and do all the work, but then you can only sell 40 to 80 labor hours per week. You can sell 40 labor hours per employee. Each employee increases the number of cappuccinos you can make. All of the insanely wealthy people I have ever met own businesses. 100% of those wealthy people are spending their time creating more jobs to sell more labor. Nobody looks at it this way. Look at Amazon. Jeff Bezos doesn't look at it that way, but essentially that's what he is doing. Does he fill any packages or orders? Does he deliver any packages? Does he do any website building? All he does is figure out what to do and who, not him, is going to do it. Story 33. Owning your own home. Since buying my apartment, my net wealth has increased significantly. I live in a big city where it would be impossible without help from my parents. Story 34. Spending your entire 20s in school without a solid plan of how you are going to use the degrees, especially if those degrees are being financed with debt. Academia is not a solid plan. It is a dying and highly exploitative industry for the most part. If this is your plan, unless you are already wealthy, you need a backup plan. Story 35. Aside from staying healthy and finding a career with a high income trajectory, it is marrying someone in good health and with a high income trajectory. Story 36. Learning early to identify and prioritize wants and needs, especially emergency funds. You want to go on a trip to Florida. You need to change the failing wheel bearings on your car so you can reliably get to work. People act shocked that they don't have money to address life's obstacles but fail to prioritize the need for an emergency fund over the desire for vacations or other wants. I'll be honest about it. Fiscal responsibility isn't fun, but it sure is a good way to ensure you can build wealth.